It's a hard video to stomach, I know. That's why we chose to show it before dinner. Seeing it always reminds me of what Dostoevsky wrote. The degree of civilization in a society can be measured by entering its prisons. I think the point is this. If you want to judge the soul of a society, you see how it treats the weak, the vulnerable, and yes, even the scorned. That's the true test of how good and just a society is. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, let's consider 3 stories, and let's hold a mirror up to our society and see what we make of it. Seth Walsh was 13, but he found obstacles at school. Like other 13-year-olds, Seth loved dogs and Pokemon, riding his bike, and listening to music. But Seth couldn't see past the pain at school. Seth came home from school one day, took a shower, and told his mom he was going out to the backyard to play with his dogs. His mother later found him hanging from a tree, unconscious. He died days later. Seth had endured years of harassment for the way he walked, the way he talked, and the way he dressed. All of that even before he came out. It only got worse after he came out. He got tripped, he got pushed, he got shoved, he got stalked. Teachers knew, school officials knew, but they did nothing, absolutely nothing about it. Our military servicemen and women, they hear the call of duty and they answer it. They go off to fight for their country in places like Afghanistan and Iraq. They fully expect to struggle to survive on the streets of Kabul and Baghdad. They do not expect to struggle to survive on Main Street when they come back home. Los Angeles now has 8,500 vets living on its streets. The VA runs a property in West Los Angeles that covers a massive 387 acres of land. That's half the size of Central Park. Prominent families deeded that land to the federal government in 1888 for one single purpose: to provide a permanent home for disabled U.S. soldiers. Today, the VA provides no permanent or even long-term housing for veterans. Instead, the VA has leased out nearly 1/3 of the property. And for what? To house rental cars, buses, baseball fields, a hotel laundry, and a dog park. Robert Rosebrock, a 68-year-old Vietnam veteran, protested for 2 years at the property. Outraged over the VA's misuse of this property, he decided to hang the U.S. flag upside down. That's a distress signal. The VA responded by repeatedly citing him and forcing him to take the flag down. Last, as the court-ordered monitor of the LA County jails, we have long pointed out the inhumane conditions that prevail there. 4 years ago, Judge Dean Pragerson, who oversees the case, visited the jails. He saw grossly overcrowded jails that provided inmates limited and often late access to medical care, and little, if any, exercise or other out-of-cell time. He said the jails violated basic human values. In the past few years, we have become more and more concerned about the rising level of deputy on inmate violence in the jails. This past year, as you saw in the video, civilians, including Chaplain Paulino Juarez, saw deputies brutally beat defenseless inmates. Now, I know some will say that if you break the law, you deserve whatever you get. But the great majority of people held in LA County jails are simply awaiting trial. They have yet to get to court, and we have to presume them innocent. And we as a society have rejected cruel and unusual punishment. No civilized society makes beatings at the hands of jailers part of the penalty for breaking the law. My fellow card-carrying members of the ACLU, I presume you're all members of the ACLU? I have to presume that. We are blessed to call Los Angeles home. We live here because it's a world center, because our to-do options include surfing in Malibu, hiking the Griffith Park trails, or shopping on Melrose or on Rodeo Drive. And let's not forget, it's December and, well, typically it's 75 degrees, but not tonight. We pride ourselves, rightfully, in calling Los Angeles home, but we have to ask ourselves some hard questions. Do we really need any more kids to take their lives before we can all agree that our schools have to stop bullying? What right does the government have to punish a vet who has risked life and limb for his country for the simple act of hanging his flag upside down? Can we really call ourselves the home of the brave when so many of our brave are homeless? And do we put up with Rodney King-like beatings week in and week out in the jails just because there's no videotape to remind us of the brutality? Ideally, the government would always respect individual rights. But we know that reality is far different. We know all too well that individual rights, although guaranteed by our Constitution, are never finally and completely secure. Our rights are timeless, but we have to defend them here and now. So as we celebrate the 220th birthday of the Bill of Rights, the best gift we as Americans can give it, and keep on giving it, is a healthy defense. We at the ACLU fight to defend the Bill of Rights for everyone. We arm people on street corners and in community centers with knowledge of their rights and how to use them. We fight at the City Council, we fight at the Board of Supervisors, we fight at the state legislature, we fight in Congress. And when we have to, we fight in the courts. And we will keep fighting so long as there is a Bill of Rights to fight for. This year, we pushed for the state to pass Seth's Law, and we strengthened anti-bullying policies in all California schools. We launched a students' rights project in Seth's name to help teachers, counselors, and principals know what they can do to address bullying, for us to be able to investigate incidents of harassment, and to make sure that every student who is sent by their parents to school has a safe learning environment. We sued the VA for Robert Rosebrock. We got his citations dismissed, and we upheld his right to free speech, to hang the flag upside down if that's how he feels. We sued the Veterans Administration for failing to take care of our wounded veterans when they come home. And of course, as you would expect from us, we have been very loud in asking for a reform of the jails, a full-blown federal investigation, and the resignation of Sheriff Lee Baca. He has said, incredibly, that he didn't know about the violence in the jails. This is no excuse. That should be the first line in an indictment against him. The ACLU of Southern California was founded in 1923. Contrary to what you might think, not by superhumans, but by people just like us. People with the same beliefs, the same convictions, and the same hopes for their Southern California community. We will continue the fight our founders started, and we will succeed because we have the brightest and the most dedicated team of individuals defending our rights. Staff who brave Men's Central Jail to report on what's going on behind closed doors. Staff who stay out until 4 in the morning to monitor the Occupy LA evacuation. Staff who spend their nights and weekends gathering signatures so we can finally abolish the death penalty in California. As some of you know, we're gathering signatures right now to qualify a petition, an initiative for next November. I had promised that I would single-handedly gather 1,000 signatures. I'm only at about 7. So if all of you could help us by going by the tables before the evening's out and signing some in my name, that would be great. I want to thank our staff for the battles they have fought and the sacrifices that they have made. If our staff members who are here tonight would please stand, I would like to give you all the chance to help me thank them. They would stand. And in particular to thank Megan Oakes for planning and organizing this event tonight. We are a dedicated and, as you can see, small group, and we alone are not nearly enough to do all this work. We rely on all of you. We rely on your activism, marching, chanting, writing, petitioning, and advocating to those in power. We rely on your donations, your support, and sometimes even your prayers. We rely on people like our distinguished honorees, people who put the precious principles of liberty, justice, and equality into practice every day, through their teaching and writing, through their music and films, and through their advocacy and philanthropy. Most of all, we rely on the courage of those who see wrong and say, no. No, I will not stand for this. Please help me salute one such person tonight. Robert Rosebrock, would you please stand up? We at the ACLU of Southern California, we live with our bullhorn volume turned up high, our backpacks filled with pens and petitions, and our faith in the Bill of Rights held close in our hearts. The courage that it took Robert, the courage that it took Paulino to take a stand against injustice, it lives in all of us. So I ask you, all of you, to call upon that courage and help us lead freedom forward. Thank you.